So one of the cuts we do on the macadamia is actually bringing down the shoulders. When we look at the shape of a natural macadamia, it's up like this. So when we cut the shoulder, we're bringing back, and we cut the shoulder back, we're bringing it back into that pyramid shape by cutting back your shoulders. So where we determine where to cut the shoulder? We look for competing leaders that's going out on the side into the row, and we then cut it back to a certain level, and then that actually brings your angle back. To make it easier for laborer, we don't want them to climb into the tree, so you actually tell them stand with your feet, and you can reach the highest you can reach that specific branch. You cut it on a side branch. You can do it in steps if you feel it's too big a cut for that tree, and you're gonna take too much leaf and bearing wood away. You can do it a little bit higher, and then you can come in a year or two later at a lower level. But I like it at a lower level on this, especially the sides when it actually grows into the row, because that brings your angle back and it doesn't overshade the inside of your canopy when you bring your shoulders back to a nice lower level. In the past, we made those cuts much too high. It's difficult to reach and to control the regrowth. I'd rather do it at a lower level. And like I said, make it easy for the person to actually cut it, stand on the ground, and where you can reach it, the first side branch. If you look at this tree, this was cut a little bit high, but the cut was made quite good. You can see he made the shoulder cut, like we said, one of the main branches coming up from the bottom. We cut it on a nice thick side branch, and he cut it quite flush, which is good. You want to cut it as flush as possible to minimize your regrowth. Skirting is actually quite a simple process. Most cultivars, Beaumont 816 and the usual cultivars we plant in South Africa, we just do a simple skirt. On young trees we go knee height, which is roughly this is 600, roughly between 500 and 600. That's where we do on young trees. On older trees we tend to go a little bit higher, as you need to get underneath the tree for controlling your weeds and harvesting, and look at your irrigation system, or it's working and everything effectively. So when we skirt, you just actually have to hit it at that height. So we give them a lobber like this, or you give them a stick, you give them the height that you need to be, you measure it. If it's not at that height, you just cut it. Quite simple process, and it's easy. On A4s, I tend to go right back to the stem, and I can cut those low hanging branches a little bit back. On most of the other cultivars, I don't like to go back to the main stem, because the branches make a curve, and when you go back to the stem, you're actually skirting much higher than you would want. So on all the other cultivars, just go straight where you reach the level that you want to cut it, just cut it there. Don't mind about little branches that's sticking downwards and so on. There won't be a lot of regrowth on the downward growing branch. Okay, so basically in macadamias we want to do a maintenance prune if we don't need to do a corrective pruning. For me, I don't want to do more than 15%. I know in the industry they said you mustn't go more than 30% of the tree canopy, then it goes vegetative. But as a maintenance, I think roughly 10 to 15% of your tree canopy is more than enough. Then it's enough, you're not taking too much vegetative growth away, and there's enough sunlight that can come in. So after we made the cut, we need to come and control the regrowth. If there is successful regrowth, depending on where your cut is. And on Beaumonts, we leave on that big cut, we leave 3 to 4 side branches. On 816, I tend to leave a little bit more, because they're not going that vegetative on those growth spots, on those cut spots. And then I like to remove those big water shoots that we call water shoots, but it's the big regrowth that's actually thick and they're running up for some sunlight. So those are the ones that we try to remove if we do some regrowth management. I think in the past some of the guys actually took too much of the regrowth away, and then they actually take all that growth we create, they actually remove it, which is not good. And in the end, you actually have an empty space inside the canopy where they remove that regrowth.